afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Real Estate Talk with Lisa. I'm your host, Lisa Jeffery. I am an active realtor in the DMV. My brokerage is Fairfax Realty Elite. We're located in Greenbelt, Maryland, and my broker is Rodney Bennett. I would like to thank all of you that are coming back to the show, our regular viewers. And if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm glad you've made the stop, and I think we're going to have good information that's going to make you come back again. And before I go any further, I wanted to welcome my very handsome, looking good, right? Very handsome co-host, Dr. Malcolm Beech, Sr. And just tell them who you are.
Well, hello, and thank you for having me on the show with you today, Lisa. I really appreciate it. I am the executive director of a small business conference called ProBiz, AfricaBiz. And it's the event that we're having on July the 31st at the Greenbelt Marriott Hotel. And basically, we got two-pronged approach to helping small businesses. One, with ProBiz, is that we're trying to teach people how to get government contracts from the federal government, state government, and local government. Tell you all the ins and outs. We have contracting officers that are going to be there to tell you just what to do to get that contract. The second part is called AfricaBiz. Many of us in the diaspora are always concerned about what's happening in Africa.
That's right.
Africa,
right. Especially after this recent movie, right?
That's right. How about it? Wakanda is real. Let me tell you, there's more resources in Africa than you could ever imagine. And they want to do business with us, and we want to do business with them. And that's what AfricaBiz is all about. We have ambassadors coming, different ministers, and a lot of experts on the resources available to you as an American business person that want to do business in Africa. And likewise, the opportunities in Africa are abundant. We also want to try to define a way for Americans in the African diaspora to become distributors for African products.
Okay.
So they can send their goods over here and we can sell them and make everybody some money.
Win-win for everybody.
That's right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, when is ProBiz?
It's going to be July the 31st at the Greenbelt Marriott Hotel.
Now what's the price for entry?
The price for entry is $25.
Okay.
I mean, it ain't going to kill you.
Now, I tell you, not for the opportunity that you can get, because
that's what we said.
From my previous government contracting background, I was actually a contract specialist for government contractors some years ago. But to actually be in front of the contracting officer, which normally you can't get past the gatekeeper to talk to.
That's right.
That's a prime opportunity.
Right. You got to develop those relationships. They have to feel comfortable that you're competent and can do the work. I mean, nobody wants to put their job on the line giving a contract to somebody that can't do the work. So it's important that you meet them personally and sell yourself.
Just a more recent example was in Puerto Rico, the company that had the contract to get the utilities up and going. Everybody was trying to figure out how they got that contract. And that person that signed them up for that contract is probably out looking now. Quiet as
But he had to know somebody for that one, I tell you. That was a big one.
Well, as you guys know, we talk a lot about real estate. We talk a lot about investing. We talk a lot about building wealth. And as Dr. Beech so eloquently put it, being able to have a business and develop those business relationships is a path to wealth. And of course, real estate has a place to play in the development of your business as well. Yes. Can you share a little bit about how that works?
Yeah. It's so important. Now, many of us, we get concerned that I got turned down at the bank. Well, why'd you get turned down at the bank? Sometimes it's your credit rating, sometimes it's your cash flow revenues, but most importantly, you have to have collateral. In the real world, banks do not loan people that don't have collateral. And the best collateral is real estate. Everybody understands real estate.
That's right.
You don't
tangible.
Have to, right. You don't have to go out and get a scientist to come in and explain what your asset is.
That's right.
So it's very important. I try to tell all my clients and associates, get some real estate. That's right. That's part of your doing business plan. That should be part of your plan to get some real estate.
Excellent. And that's, he's not our first guest that have shared that. Sherman Ragland was here. He shared the same thing from that same perspective of, you may have your home or you may just be starting out. That piece of real estate can be an avenue to open a lot of doors for your family, whether it's helping you start that business, having some money to draw from for your kids' education. It's just so many avenues for that. Now, one of the things I wanted to let everybody know is, and I forgot to mention it last week, was that June is home ownership month.
All right. Okay.
June is also the month that we celebrate Juneteenth. Yes, we celebrate Juneteenth. It's like, well, what is that? So we're going to dip a little bit into African American history. Like I always tell you, African American history is American history. It's American history.
Absolutely.
There's no American history apart from the inclusion of African American history. And having that accurately portrayed and put in its proper place and prominence in our overall tapestry is key to us having a strong country. You know, we're not in Civil War days, so it's very important that we understand the parts and we embrace both the positive and the negative so we can move forward. But can you shed a little light on what makes Juneteenth, why it's important, why we celebrate it?
Okay, you'd asked me to put on my other hat. Let me tell you about my other hat. I'm also the national president of the United States Colored Troops Living History Association. This is a group of all the black reenactors. They're black reenactors too, even though you may have seen many of us. But all across the country, we've got about 10 chapters of folks that come out and reenact the role that African Americans played in freeing themselves during the Civil War. African Americans freed themselves. 200,000 black soldiers fought with the Union during the war. They were in the Navy, in the infantry, the artillery, and the cavalry. So we actually fought. And when you talk about Juneteenth, that's the only day, it seems, that we actually acknowledge the fact that at the beginning of the Civil War, there were 4 million African Americans enslaved. After the Civil War, it was 0. So Juneteenth really makes you think about, that's the most important point in African American history to me, is that ending the Civil War.
That's right. Because we all, we give a lot of acknowledgement to the 4th of July, and rightly so. But for African Americans in the country at that time, that wasn't the real cause of celebration. And but Juneteenth, which was when the word finally came to Texas on the 19th of June. Am I right on that?
Right.
I'm not as scholarly as he is, but I'm trying to keep pace. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep pace.
No.
But that's when that last word was taken. And I've heard I was studying up, for the show, and I heard one scholar say, well, I don't see any need to really celebrate it because it makes it seem like African Americans were passive and they were just waiting for somebody to come along. But I beg to differ with that. I understand the point that they were making, but you have to have some acknowledgement of what happened.
Absolutely.
And that's the demarcation point right there to say, okay, we got a place we can pinpoint that we should celebrate because it's a celebration of freedom, it's a celebration of effort. And I like the way you put it, like these are troops that free themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Juneteenth is so very important. I mean, I've heard the same comment you did about why celebrate it, but it's important to let people know. First of all, they weren't sitting around waiting for somebody to come free them. Let's clarify that. There were U.S. troops, U.S. colored troops in Texas long before Juneteenth. But what happened with the plantation owner, he wasn't going to tell nobody that it was all right, that they could leave. He got to get that last crop in. He was trying to get that last crop in, and he was trying to keep it on the low that they were already free. And really what freed them was the soldiers themselves. That's what got the freedom going. So that's why it's important that and this is the only day I can think of that we even acknowledge that we had a role in our own freedom.
And it's interesting because growing up, I grew up in Tennessee. It wasn't something that I was really aware of. It's really having been in Maryland and seeing the comments and seeing the actual information that's come out that I've been able to be aware of it. So now I'm aware of it. I'm like, well, where was I all my life, right?
Well, it's the same way. I mean, it wasn't until recently, last 12 years or 17 years, that I was aware of it myself. Couldn't believe it. Why didn't I know about this before?
Why didn't I know?
I went to school, but they didn't tell us about this part.
Excellent. Well, we have our first call. We have a number of calls coming in today, different topics we're going to talk about, but we thought this was an important topic to talk about, and I'm getting ready to bring on Miss Carolyn Rowe. We're going to talk about a Juneteenth event that's coming up. Good morning, Carolyn. Oh, good afternoon, shall I say.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, doing wonderful. You're here with myself and Dr. Malcolm Beech. He's here with us here in the studio. He's co-hosting with me. I drafted him as my co-host today. He was so gracious to do so with me, and we were just talking a little bit about the history of Juneteenth and how it came to be. And so we have you on today to talk about the wonderful event that's going to be taking place this Saturday. So can you give us a little bit of information about it?
Well, my program actually is tonight.
Oh, you know what, Marcia, I thought that was Carolyn. My mistake, folks. It happens. I'm sorry. This is Marsha Cole. She is a poet and a performer. And she has been doing a series of events this week. Tonight is her final performance. You're going to be at the Deanwood Library at 1350 49th Street tonight, correct?
1350 49th Street, yes, Northeast. Across from the Deanwood Metro Station.
Okay, it's across from the Deanwood Metro. Now, the title of her performances are Going for Freedom, True Accounts of Flight in Verse. What inspired you to put on the performances that you do?
Well, it started with a participation in a 2014 Juneteenth program at the MLK Library. And as one of the aspiring writers, we were given the opportunity to write something for a Juneteenth program, something related to the subject. And of course, if there had been no enslavement, there'd be no need to talk about Juneteenth.
Correct.
So my poetry and presentation deals with people who would not wait to be freed. They took matters in their own hands and self-emancipated. So that's why I call it Going for Freedom. These are people who, for various reasons, and those are outlined in the poems, made that decision, which was a dangerous decision, to flee go for their freedom.
Excellent. And, you know, Dr. Beech had just made that comment before you called. He was just talking about how the colored troops, no one was waiting. People were actually involved in their own emancipation. And it's just great that you are also carrying that message, you know, on a grassroots level through your performances to audience, which we were just talking about, had not heard that information before. What drew you to this particular subject matter?
Well, a recent revival in my interest in Black history. There was so much that I didn't know growing up, and as I grew older and became more aware of and in contact with information, I was shocked at how little I knew.
Yes.
As I knew more, I decided to write and use my love of language and some facility of language to write in various forms. So I had done a play that's been performed, and so I also came up with these poems, these narrative poems. They tend to be narrative poems, and that's what spurred me on to share what I've learned in a way that I can do creatively.
Excellent. And we have actually a picture of you in costume on the screen. We have the landscape portion, and then we have on the inset of the screen, what the viewers can see, another picture of you in your costume for your performances. When you're in costume, do you describe to them the significance of your dress when you're performing?
Yes, at the end of my program, I talk about what I'm wearing, because as I learned more, I found out that even the clothes have a history. There's a reason why I probably look like pictures they've seen of slaves. It's not because they all want to dress the same, and they didn't have any imagination. They have plenty of imagination, but not access.
Yes.
They were restricted in what they could wear. They could not dress out of their station. And also, economics played a part in it. The slave masters and the owners were always mindful of, saving $1 here and there, and they would tend to get the cheapest cloth. And so that's how that impacted what they were wearing. And it was not always the most comfortable clothing. I was rereading something that Booker T. Washington said about the clothing he was wearing. He wore. He had a flax shirt as a youngster, and it was the cheapest. It was the least agreeable part of the flax plant, so it was itchy.
Yes.
And he considered it a supreme act of love on the part of his older brother John to break in that shirt for him because it was so itchy. Older brother would wear it till it was not quite so itchy, and he could wear it because Booker had very tender skin. So those kinds of things come up when you talk about the clothing, and I do bring that up.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm going to tell people where to find you. Again, Marsha's performing tonight at 7 p.m. at the Deanwood Library at 1350 49th Street Northeast, Washington, D.C., and we'll post that on our Facebook page as well. If you want to reach her, you can reach her at Marcia, that's Marcia, at historyworthwhile.com. And she also has a website, which is www.historyworthwhile.com. Marcia, it's just been a pleasure having you here. Continue to do what you're doing to spread the knowledge that you're giving and spreading it in a way where it makes it easy for people to grasp and put into context. And we just applaud your efforts, and we thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. Have a blessed day.
All right, you too, my dear. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So again, it's the same thing that a lot of us, we just didn't know.
We didn't know. Yeah, it's the thing about curriculum, because, education is organized and formalized. If it's not in the curriculum, the teachers don't teach it.
There's no need to teach it. And that's very true, because as a young student, I went to the University of Tennessee. And, in my history class, we had like 2 paragraphs on slavery, right?
Yeah.
And then you went on to talk about the Constitution, the amendments and everything, and there really wasn't a thorough treatment of it. Now, as an African-American student, you knew there was more to it, but you almost felt like your history started at slavery. So, the fact that you have an AfricaBiz to give people, even those of us in America that may have a distorted view of Africa, a view of its richness and the variety that's there. I didn't have that, and I didn't even understand a lot of the contributions that as African Americans that are so integral to the fabric of our society, the things that we created that help make the society, because it was never, we knew about the first open heart surgeon, but only during Black History Month.
Right.
And you get it so fast and so much, after the play is over, you done dressed up as Harriet Tubman for the 4th time, in your life. After that, you don't really know.
Yeah,
you don't know
really
what's happening. So now I should have Carolyn on the line. Let me see. Wrong one. Carolyn?
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good, good. Welcome to the show. You're here with myself and Dr. Malcolm Beech.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Glad to hear your voice.
Yes. So, I had mentioned that you guys were having a 13th annual Juneteenth Seminar, Footprints and Roots, over at the Nature Center at Watkins Regional Park this Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30. What can you tell us about your event?
Well, we can tell you that we started this event to commemorate the oldest African-American celebration of the end of slavery in the country. Juneteenth has been named a national holiday in several states, and trying to get it to be a national holiday all over the country, so we support this activity. And as historians and genealogists, we want to tell our story ourselves. So we have a whole day of seminars and activities. We begin our day with Carol Gibbs, who's going to be our keynote speaker. Excellent, excellent person to start the day off. And he's going to start talking about D.C. emancipation and how it ties into Juneteenth in Texas and the general order that told those persons in Texas who had not yet heard that they were free, that they were free. So it's a full day. We draw people from all over the DMV as well as neighboring states. We hope to have generally from 150 to 300 people come through and listen to our other speakers. We have 3 concurrent sessions starting around 10:30 after the keynote speech, and we have historians and genealogists and family historians to talk about how they discovered their family histories. It's important for everybody, I think, to know from whence we came.
That's right.
Our sessions we also have sessions for children from ages 7 to 12. I think the earlier you start, the better chance you have of really capturing your family history, because the older people die off by the time we reach 40 and realize we want to know this stuff. It'd be too late.
That's right. That's right. Excellent. Excellent. Now, it looks like the sponsors for the event are the African-American Historical and Genealogical Society, Prince George's, Maryland chapter. You've got the Prince George's County Historical Society. And this was, I thought, was interesting, but someone told me that this particular group holds a lot of the African-American history. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Suitland, Maryland. And of course, also the chairman of the Prince George's County Planning Board, Elizabeth M. Hewlett. So, but I did think that it was interesting that what I had learned, that they also held quite a bit of our history.
Oh, they hold everybody's history. Actually, it's part of their mission to go out and bring people into the church. So they go all over the world collecting data on everybody, and it has been a gold mine for African Americans because there has not been up until now any one place where we could go to find out, who our parents, grandparents, great-great-grandparents were. We have the census at the National Archives.
Right.
Beyond documents like death certificates, marriage records, school records that can all be found at the Mormon website and at the Mormon Library in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay. Did you have any questions for Carolyn or anything you wanted to mention to her?
Do you have any participation from any reenactors coming?
Not at this event. We usually have our reenactors come in when we do our Maryland Legacy Day event in November, which commemorates the freeing of the slaves in the state of Maryland through a constitution. They rewrote the Constitution to free the slaves in Maryland. So we do bring reenactors in at that time. And when we have our national conference from this society, the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society has a national conference annually in October. We would also bring in reenactors, singers, and all entertainment, as well as the genealogy workshops.
Okay.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Carolyn, I want to thank you again for calling in and talking to us about your event and the great work that you guys are doing to make sure that the general population knows or has an opportunity to see the work that's being done historically and genealogically for African Americans, and for those that are both advanced and, as you say, classes for the children, an opportunity to come together and to network and to be amongst others that are studying the same studies, that same thirst for knowledge. So I just want to thank you for what you're doing. And
I'd like to say before we leave that these workshops are free. Almost all of our workshops, our meetings, everything is free and open to the public. And they can find out additional information on our website, which is https://pgcm, AAHGS.org.
Excellent. And we're going to post your flyer on the Real Estate Talk with Lisa Facebook page as well. And I want to thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, it's a price you can't afford. Free. Okay? So if you have occasion to go out, if the recent movie, if other events have made you, a little curious about your history, even if you're a younger person, you don't have to wait till you're my age. You can go out and find out what people are doing. Find out, where you come from. I think it's a proverb or something that if you forget your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And so, we have a lot of different movements, whether it's Black Lives Matter or other movements. You got the Me Too movement. You got a lot of movements going on. But as you're moving forward in your individual life, you want to be able to base it on knowledge and history and understand why. Like we got early voting in Maryland today. Starts today.
Right.
Why is it important for you to vote? On whose shoulders are you standing on to even be able to have the opportunity to vote? When we were talking about business opportunities, we're talking about buying property. You move from, in this country, from being property to now buying property.
Yeah.
Okay? That's just when I say, every time I say that, it's just kind of like, wow, that's just a,
and
that's
people
a wild
fought
concept.
for that. People fought for that right.
For you to be able to do that. And so, despite the obstacles that we may have, whether it's our credit, whatever it is, we have to dig within ourselves just as they did then to continue to advance forward and to lay hold to the opportunities, I think, that we have in front of us. When I say that to you, I say it to myself too, like the preacher, this word's for me too.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So, all right. Now, we've been talking about, so far in the show, just a look back, in terms of what's been done and how that perspective impacts our future. Our next guests are Lola Thompson and, Lacy McCollum Jr. Now, they head up Turnkey DMV. You weren't here when they were guests on the show, but they have a model, an investment model for those that want to invest. Baltimore is like the new emerging market in the area. I mean, people are coming from across the globe to come to Baltimore to invest because it's you can still get in. Middle America can still get in, and you're serving several purposes. You can have an investment, you can make a profit, you're providing housing, and you're helping kind of rebuild and revitalize that area. A lot of areas that get revitalized, we don't normally have a part. There's some big players and they got it all going on, and we just watch the cranes, okay? We just watch the trucks go by and say, it looks like they're building this. But Baltimore provides an opportunity for us to get in. So with Turnkey DMV, Al Davis and Ernest Penn was here with them as well. Talked about a model where Al will get a property. He's very familiar with the Baltimore neighborhoods. He will renovate it. I mean, everything from heating, plumbing, everything. Make sure it's lead-free. Get your lead-free certificate for it. He works with 13 of the government subsidized programs. He will have a tenant placed in there for you. And then you can purchase it. But when you purchase it, you have the asset. He leaves some equity in there, and you have income. So it's a nice setup for you. And so that's the model that they were talking about. So I'm going to bring them on. Lacy, Lola, is that you?
Yes.
How you guys doing today? Good. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Malcolm Beech. He heads up ProBiz and AfricaBiz. You're definitely going to want to be a part of that. Talking about getting government contracts, and I know you guys have your hands in everything, so definitely want you there. And he's also going to have a section on AfricaBiz where they're going to have ambassadors and different African businesses represented, so you can talk about partnerships, from that continent to this continent. So he's co-hosting with me today, and before I brought you on, I shared with him a little bit about the Turnkey DMV model. Lacy was talking to me the other night about Juneteenth, and so we actually had a little bit of a conversation about that, and a couple of our calling guests. One is a poetess who is doing a performance tonight with respect to that, Going for Freedom, True Accounts of Flight in Verse. There's a big event going on this Saturday that we talked about. So now we're turning to the investment piece. You know, now that you've got your freedom, how do you really have freedom? So take it away.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Lisa. We really appreciate it. So one of the things that we as African Americans, black people in general all across the world, we don't look at, or we have trouble looking at, what true freedom is. And in America, true freedom is having wealth. One of the ways that you acquire wealth is through assets. So how do you do that? One of the easiest and quickest ways is for investing into real estate. Real estate is a real product, so it's not like going out and investing in the stock market where one day your stock might be flying high and the next day the stock is crashed and it's not worth anything.
Yes.
So even when the market fluctuates, you're still going to have some value, some percentage of the value of the real estate that you're invested in.
Okay.
So we talk to people about starting at least by owning a home.
Yes.
And then be able to then learn how to build themselves up from owning a home to doing regular real estate investing, so they can get hard assets to literally invest in America.
Exactly. Now, when you encourage people to do that, is there training that you do? Is there instruction? How do you progress that mission? What's that look like?
Well, Lola has a training program that we go through. We step people all the way through the real estate process, including buying a home or getting in the beginning stages of investing. There's ways that you can learn to invest in real estate at the very beginning of it. And I'm going to let Lola kind of talk about her training program.
Hey, how are you, Lisa?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, dear?
I'm excellent. Really excited to be talking to you and to your listeners today. You know, Lacy and I we have a real estate investment training program. And in that training program, we do teach from the fundamentals of investing, which is property locating and then wholesaling and then flipping and then landlording, turnkey investing, because turnkey investing is how you build wealth. But as Lacy said, one of the most fundamental ways to do that is to first own your own home. And a lot of people, it's funny when you ask people, have you ever invested in real estate before? They say no. And you say, well, don't you own a house? And they say, well, yeah. Well, that's your first investment.
Yes.
That's your first investment. And what we try to tell folks is you can take that investment, especially if you have a home that has several bedrooms, and turn in a basement that can be converted into a kind of mini apartment, and turn that house that you presently live in into an investment vehicle by renting out the different spaces in your house through something like Airbnb or, different programs like that. So we do teach people how to do that from beginning to the end, and we get really excited about it because, you kind of can change people who didn't know how they were going to build legacy and build wealth in their family into folks who can have a surefire plan about how to get that done.
Excellent. How important is having training? Because, can I just sit at home and watch HGTV and, go out with a realtor in an hour, have my property and pick one out and just decide I'm gonna rehab it and just get started? Can I not do that?
Well, you can. Those fancy television stations are about the worst way on the planet to find out how to do real estate investing. It really doesn't work. Like I think you mentioned, you look like they do everything in a day or in a week.
Yes.
You notice a lot of times they start up with summer clothes, and by the time they're finished, they got on hoodies, parkers, and boots.
Yeah.
It takes a while for that process to happen. And when you get a mentor, you find training, you can find the real fundamental ways to do that step by step. On top of that, you want somebody who can show you, who can mirror for you how to actually make that happen. So somebody who's not just talking about it, but somebody who's going out actually doing deals and looking at properties and assessing properties and building buyers lists and networking and teaching you how to network for success. So
Excellent.
you want to make sure that that's something that you can have somebody show you how to do with their actions. And a lot of these folks on TV, some of them have never even done a deal before because they put them on there because they were cute. You know what I'm saying?
So now, when people are in classes with you, you actually take them to properties to see the stages there?
Absolutely. We take them to the properties that we're working on. We go with them to properties that they might possibly put under contract to show them what to look for, how to begin to assess what repair costs are, how to look at neighborhoods and find distressed properties. We have a tour coming up really soon where a class really soon where we're going to take people out and actually show them how to find distressed homes, what that kind of house looks like, how to network with people in the neighborhood to find out information, the mailman, the garbage man, all those different things. So we take them out to properties that we're in the process of working on. We even have them go through Craigslist and find properties for us to go look at with them to help them look and see what that person who's marketing that personal property on Craigslist is doing and actually critique it to learn better about how they should do it themselves.
Excellent, excellent. Did you have any questions for Lola and Lacy with respect to the training that they offer, Dr. Beech?
Sure. If I was a first-time investor, what are the most important things I need to have to tell you about so I can get in the game right away? What do I need to come prepared to take the training?
Wow, that's an awesome question. As a first-time investor, you first want to really get with somebody to understand what it is to have a business. So if you've been used to being a 9-to-5 person, first you want to make sure that you have your business established properly. Well, let me backtrack. First you want to get your mind right.
Yes.
Because being an investor is being an entrepreneur, and being an entrepreneur is a lifestyle, it's a mindset, and it's so completely different than working a 9-to-5 job. But you've got to listen to the audios, go to the trainings, read the books to get your mind right and become fertile ground to grow those businesses that you want to be an entrepreneur and to be a real estate investor. So let me say that's first. Number two, like I said, you want to get your business in order. Make sure that you have the LLC or the corporation, whatever you're going to function at under. You want to talk to a business manager, somebody, a CPA or an attorney to tell you how to properly do that. Then after that, I'm quite honest with you, you want to find somebody to mentor you, because that's not something that you should be out there doing on your own. You can, but you'll leave away from it when you don't know what you're doing with the bad taste in your mouth. And one of the worst things on the planet to me is people who leave away from this thing feeling like they can't do it and it's too hard. But that's usually because they didn't have anybody to help them. Lacy's going to kick in with the rest.
Right. So I have a saying in my training, and that is get in where you fit in. So if you're a first-time investor, what you have to think about is getting your credit together, or actually looking at your credit. Start to get your credit together. You can make your first investment be a home that you purchase for yourself.
Okay.
If you're not at that stage, there's a process called property locating that you can learn how to locate properties for people. That's just sweat equity. It doesn't cost any money out of your pocket except for gas and your internet service. You find properties for people, you learn the game, and then you essentially have them purchase the property and pay you a fee for the research that you did. So you can start right there. But as Lola said, get your mind right first, because being an entrepreneur, whether it's full-time or part-time, is a mind shift.
Exactly. Well, I know that Lola had posted recently some tips, and we shared them on our Facebook page for the show. So guys, go back to our Facebook page. It's still posted up there, and follow the link there, and make sure that you take advantage of that. Do you guys have any upcoming events that you want to let the audience know about?
Yes. Again, we have our monthly meeting is coming up on Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday of every month. I think this month is the 28th, if I'm not mistaken.
27th, I think.
Okay, so the 27th of this month, we have that coming up. We also have a class that we're going to be doing. It's a 4-week class we're going to be kicking off next week to actually start teaching people through an online virtual boot camp kind of method, how to learn real estate. And then the 30th, we have a classroom session that we're going to be doing starting. It's a 4-session training, And that 4-session training is going to span into August, but it's going to be awesome because we're going to start off with the classroom training, then do 2 virtual trainings, and then meet back up to let people go to an award ceremony where they're going to be officially certified as a property locator, a wholesaler, and really understand how this business works from the beginning to end. That's going to be a phenomenal program. I can't wait to do that. The award ceremony is going to be really fun, but if you do look at our page, go to Get Started, Get Paid in Real Estate Investing on Facebook, and you will see all of the things that we have upcoming.
Excellent. And if you would share to our page some of the items that you mentioned, and we'll continue to share it from our page so that the audience can go there and take a look. And the other Facebook page that Lola mentioned is Get Started, Get Paid, and you can go there. They have quite a bit of information. I know Lola has a couple of groups that you should be able to locate from that starting point, but they are a wonderful resource. I can always call them and ask them questions. And so I just want to thank you guys for joining us today, and just kind of continue to give that little nudge to people to go ahead and explore the opportunities that are available to them.
And we thank you, Lisa. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you and talk to your audience and talk to your co-hosts there. We hope you guys have a fantastic evening. And again, don't just walk around and talk about doing real estate investing. We want you to get started and get paid.
All right, now. Have a great afternoon.
All right.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
All right. So we've been
rolling,
running through it, right? The train is coming. So we've covered a couple of issues now. So we talked about our history. We've talked about perspectives on taking opportunities and creating what we want from them from the standpoint of investing and how that can enlarge us. Shortly, we're going to get another call just talking about finding the funds to do what you want to do.
Right.
And I think sometimes we're held back by what we see as a possibility. Of course, by the time we had that conversation with ourselves, we had the conversation with ourselves. We didn't have anything to really talk about. So by the time the conversation's over, we done put the gavel down. We done passed judgment. We done moved on and said, well, it can't be happening. It can't be done. And I know for me, I've been encouraging buyers that I've been working with to make sure they take advantage of the grants that are available out there. A lot of them don't know about them. And you know how it is. It's like you hear about it after it's over. And then you're like, oh man, I wish I knew. Well, what would you have done if you knew? Would you have done something? Yeah. Okay, so we're telling you here so you can know, so then you can go and do something about that. So I know when Ernest comes, he'll give us a little nugget about that. But being aware of what's out there in the marketplace, a lot of times we don't know. I just got an email the other day. Was it the Minority Business Development Agency is getting ready to release some grant money, and I was looking at all the categories and some of the organizations that I associate with. They fit in some of those categories that they're about to give some money in. I bet but half of them didn't even get that email. They're not even on the list to get. I stay on the list even though I'm not always involved in those areas. Just so when the information comes, I can pass it on to someone else that has it. Do you find that we need to do that more?
Absolutely. I mean, the announcement that you're referring to is something that they haven't done before. It's called a broad agency announcement. They open up, like you say, to so many different areas now.
Yes.
So it gives you an opportunity to really get into the area that you're most interested in. So you're right. Information is very important. That's why this show is important, to give people some information so that they can live a better life, because without knowledge and information, you're just stuck.
You're just stuck. And you don't even know that there's, an opportunity out there. And I mean, I've been there in my life. I shared with the audience before, there was a time when I was homeless. I had shelter, but I was in a shelter type situation, and for a long time I was working and everything, and situation happened. I thought I was going to be able to move, couldn't move, and so then I was like, okay, I need to move again, and I started looking, but I didn't look real hard. I was just kind of like, I was a little timid about getting back out there. And so then finally somebody said, well, you should just go for it. You believe in God, right? You got abilities, you working, you should go for it. I was like, you know, they're right. So I went in, you know, with all my trepidation, and I sat down across the desk, and somewhere at that point I was getting an apartment, and I sat down and I talked to the people, and they said, well, sure. Yeah, just sign right here, Miss Jeffery. I was like, really? They was like, yeah,
So,
And I was sitting there waiting for them to say no.
Right,
They were all ready to, you know, get me situated. And it's like that with every level of life. Like Lola said, you know, you just have to be willing to go ahead and make that step. You know, I'm at that place in my life again. There's steps that I'm making. There's steps that I'm doing because I know that there's more for me. You know, the theme of our show, I know it's your first time here, I know it won't be your last, but it's educate, empower, and motivate to action. And you know, I've had other realtors on that have particular niches and specialties, and they have something to offer. I'm not the one-stop shop, but I got keys to a lot of rooms.
all right, I like that.
You know? So if I don't know, I'm willing to go to somebody that knows. And I want to have people here to share with our audience what they know, so they have good information. I don't have to know it all, you know, but I want you to have as much of it as you can have. And for me, I feel like this is the time for great collaboration, for people to actually communicate, to get things done. You know, I'm going to be doing a piece on returning citizens. I know a lot of groups that have interest in that, but they may not all have the same focus in that. Some may just want to do clothing. You know, some just want to do counseling. Some want to buy the house, but they don't want to manage it. Some want to manage the housing. But just think what you could have if everybody sat down to the table and decided, okay, let's get together and let's put this thing together.
Much stronger in unity whenever we're unified. It makes a whole lot of difference.
And so when we're looking at the world, you know, we're looking at the world and we're saying, you know, oh, this is happening, they're leaving us out. And no, get to running. You know, catch up. I mean,
get involved.
Get involved with something, you know, on some level, you know, where you can make a difference and you can make a connection with someone so that you can make that impact. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So when we're talking about business and we're talking about capital, I think at your event you may have will you have people there with funding for people that are having businesses? We're
gonna have two types of capital because we always looking for different kinds of money.
Show us the money.
There's some capital that is debt financing, actually.
Okay.
If you have a contract and you know it's going to take 30, 60, 90 days to get paid, you need some interim money, mobilization money, and money to get started to meet that payroll, because in 2 weeks you got to pay somebody.
That's right.
So there's a group of people that have what they call alternative finance, where they will actually finance your invoices. So they will give you like 90% of that up front.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that you can go ahead and get started in doing the business. Now there's another kind of financing, which is the capital that you're talking about, the equity financing.
Okay.
And a lot of times you may want to partner in a particular deal.
Right.
Because it's not, you don't want to get all debt, but you may want somebody to come and share ownership of the business and share the profits. So yes, there'll be some people there that are equity investors, venture capitalists, that are looking for deals, looking for businesses to invest in.
Okay. So for people that are coming, maybe they have, you know, a business, or they have a business idea, they need to come with more than an idea, don't they?
Well,
what would you advise?
Like you said, it's the idea, but it's also the desire to be an entrepreneur. You know, everybody is not geared for entrepreneurship. True. It's tough, and you said, you got to stay focused and keep on going.
Yes.
You know, so we're gonna have people there, experts, that are gonna give some advice on taxation. You know, because a lot of times, you know, you're paying so much in taxes, but you're not investing anything in yourself. So that means you just don't know the rules.
That's right.
You know, you got a president of the United States that won't show his tax return because I don't believe he paid anything, and he's a billionaire. So he say. So there's no reason why you should pay more than him. I don't think.
That's right.
So taxation is very important. So we're going to have a tax expert there, and we got some other people that are going to help you do business planning. You know, you need to have a plan. You just can't go into business and start spending your money and you don't even know where you're going. Like you're trying to go to New York, but you don't take 95. You want to take 40 going somewhere else. You know, you got to have a plan to know exactly what you're doing and where you're going.
That's true.
You know, and you need some legal advice. You know, you can't rely everything on what your brother-in-law said that might be the case, you know,
or that quick and dirty legal kit that you downloaded from the internet for $9.95 that now costing you $995.
That's right.
Because now they suing you and you didn't know and you didn't really have no business structure, so now you left yourself open. They done took your dog.
Yep.
They got the kids' toys in the back of the truck. You know.
You're right. So you got to know what your rights are and what your wrongs are. Don't get into a situation with contracts and everything that you're not familiar with. It's good to have a lawyer around. And of course, we need insurance. Everything doesn't always work out the way we think. So you need some kind of backup to say, well, if my business burns, I get a flood, or something happens. If there's a policy to cover that, you're going to be in good shape to keep on with your business a little later on.
That's right. So what I hear you saying is you're building a house, like a business house. You got your insurance, you got your legal team over here, you got your financing for your different parts of the business, and you got your plan. You know, so that which is kind of like your framing of your house. So you got all of the necessary parts and all of your professionals around you.
Right. The only thing we're missing is a real estate expert. I don't know if you know anybody that can help us with that.
Well, we might just have to talk about that. But you know, but that is an important thing. I did a talk several years ago because I actually went back to school at age 49 to get my degree. I didn't finish college, and my interest was organizational development, which was good because the school I went back to, you know, those I went back to Nyack College. That was the degree they were offering us. I was excited about that, and for me, it was the small businesses and the nonprofits that I saw struggle so much. And it's mainly, a lot of times, you know, we go to the altar, we go to the mountaintop, I don't know, we go to the barbershop, and we get this great idea, and we're very excited. A lot of time it's birthed out of the passion that we may have for something, and then it kind of fizzles out. Then we find ourselves trolling all of the grant workshops, trying to figure out who we can get $10,000 or $100,000 or $2 million for to fund our idea. But, you know, like you said before, you know, we don't have collateral, we don't have a plan, and we just refuse. You know, see, a nonprofit or a not-for-profit doesn't mean no profit.
Right.
We got that confused.
Right, we got that confused. A lot of people are confused with that.
And you know, I've fallen into that trap, you know, in endeavors that I've done in the past where, you know, we get so satisfied with just getting by. You get used to that kind of crisis mode of operating. No, everything in the business should not be solved by duct tape. You know, it should be, you know, we should be able to just go get some pipes and just fix that thing, whatever that thing is. And so what always struck me was that there was a lot of resources from SBA, from all of the different orders that were at a price. Floyd Wilson is my favorite person, I tell you. And Floyd's quote is always, it's at a price you can afford, free. All these resources are free. And here we are all over here standing like we're in front of the 7-Eleven trying to figure out what we're going to do for the morning, trying to make it work, trying to make it go, and all the stuff's over here. But it's like there's no connect, and they do outreaches, but it's like it's not reaching out here. And I felt such a passion to convey it. I think that's part of what fuels, you know, what I do here. But just such a need for people to understand that there are opportunities. Every opportunity may not be the one for you, and every time for you may not be right now. But there are opportunities for you. But you have to step out and avail yourself to look for them and to find them, and and to go forth. So I like the fact that your event is going to be a comprehensive approach to the solution, not just because sometimes our things are one dimensional. They don't. They only. Well, we're just gonna tell you opportunities. Okay, we're gonna tell you opportunities. That's all we're gonna tell you. Or we're gonna sell you this insurance in case you ever do get something. We can insure you for. Right. But the fact that you are bringing the whole solution to people in one place, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. Well, I think this might be the money man. Let me find out. Ernest, Penn.
Hey, what's going on, Lisa?
What's going on? I just spoke with my co-host, this is Dr. Malcolm Beech. He's with ProBiz and AfricaBiz. And we were just talking about business. I told myself, they told me you were on the line. I said, it must be the money man. But for my audiences that don't know, Ernest is with Fidelity Direct Mortgage, and he is a team leader. Give him your NMLS number. I think I got all the...
The NMLS number is 1123038.
Okay, and give him your phone number.
My number is 703-296-4984.
Ernest does not sleep, so call him anytime. No, I'm just kidding. He does sleep. He does sleep occasionally, but he does pick up the phone when I call, or he does text me back when I text him.
Always.
So we've been talking about Juneteenth. We've been talking about investing. We've been talking about business strategy.
Turnkey, yay!
Yes. Lacy and Lola were just on just a few minutes ago, so we're talking about that. So for Fidelity Direct, do you have products for the investor?
Yes, and we're very excited to announce that we have just released new products for investors.
Okay.
One of the key things that we were noticing that there's a very large demand for investors who are buying below the $50,000 mark.
Okay.
Now have a product that will allow you to have a minimum loan size of $25,000.
Wow.
That's what everybody said.
My co-host just turned, set up really tall. He already tall, so.
So I expect for people to be hitting me up real fast.
That's right.
We're excited about that. As a matter of fact, when they told us that, I leaned back in my chair. I looked up at the boss and said, "Hey, man, is that Baltimore City too?"
Yes, exactly.
That's DC, Maryland?
Yes. Oh, that's
they said, "Yes, it is. Yes, it is." So I'm excited to announce that.
Excellent. So you guys can reach out to Ernest, and your email address, Ernest, is what? ePennLoans?
At yahoo.com. EPENNLOANS at yahoo.com.
And reach out to him, and he'll give you more details regarding the new product. Now, what's going on? I know, whenever there's activity with the Fed, people that are prospective home buyers, they're a little nervous and everything. But I think that we're still good to go. Correct?
Yeah,
home buyers.
We want to encourage any first-time home buyers, even persons who currently own homes, are thinking about reselling. Now's the time to make the move.
Yes.
The reason why I say that is because we do have a product that even if you're not a first-time home buyer, we'll allow you to give you an 80-20, and you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. All you have to do is just sell your home.
Excellent. Okay. So guys, you heard this. This is some opportunities that you can jump on and take advantage of. Dr. Beech, do you have any questions for Ernest?
Well, Ernest, some people have a little trouble with their credit. And is there any particular credit number you need to have to get a mortgage?
Great question. To answer that question, let's kind of break it down into what the lender expects and what is the standard. FHA does not require a credit score. They can also use one credit score if that's the only one that pops up, or they use the middle of the three. So to answer your question, if you have a borrower that does not have any credit, we still have a way of getting them financed as long as they meet the other criteria or other things that will be compensating factors.
Okay. All right, you heard that. Compensating factors. You may be in possession of some of those, so don't write yourself off just because your Credit Karma thing didn't look good. You know, it said, hey, we need you to check it. Don't write yourself off. Make sure that you know, we always tell you here on the show, make sure you contact your lender and have that conversation so you can have a direction to go in. All right.
And I'd also like to share with everyone, if you know anyone that owns a property or someone that lost a family member or their house has been torn down and the family just doesn't want it, give me a call, because there are products and services and resources to help them also sell the home at market value, less the repair.
Wow. Okay. Excellent.
That products for that too.
Excellent. Well, Ernest, I want to thank you for calling in and giving us keeping hope alive out there. You know, in the jungle.
Bye. Sell. There is always good means in a way to make something happen that everybody can have a blessing of joining it, having a home and having the dream of a home.
That's right. You know, I've been trying to coax all the sellers out there to please put your house on the market. Market it with me, but if not with me, the realtor of your choice. But please, we need your house because the inventory is low, and those of us that are working with buyers and sellers, we have buyers that cannot find a property because this is such a fight for the few properties that are out there. So we would encourage you. I encourage you. You can contact me. You can talk about the value of your home. There are options if you need to get it fixed before you sell it. There's ways to get that, but we can get your property to the market so you can make somebody else a happy homeowner, and you can be that buyer that now can talk to Ernest as a new buyer for a product that he has to get you moving forward. So Ernest,
there's another thing that I think people are missing out on. When you are approved with a lender, whether it's a 203K, some type of renovation loan product, or a regular purchase, you have first choice of any property that's in foreclosure, and you will be amazed at what type of properties are available on the foreclosure list. Home readies, home styles. A lot of people are missing out on some great opportunities because they're uncomfortable with taking a step and allowing someone to show them how to do a rehab loan, or what we call upgrading your home the way that you want it. But again, it's all a part of selling the house at market value, less the repairs. It can be done. You can buy homes way below the market, and by the time you fix them up, the house is worth a ton of money more. And folks are missing out on a huge opportunity. Why let the investors buy them all?
That's right. That's exactly right. So I think Ernest has given you all of us really, some food for thought, some encouragement to go ahead and get in the water. Temperature is fine, okay? And if you're not sure, if you need some additional swimming lessons, so to speak, you can give him a call. He can give you an analysis of where you are and give you some sound advice based on years of experience. He's been in this business a long time to help you get to the destination that you're trying to go to. Because if you don't know, you can ask somebody that's already in the business of directing the traffic where you need to go.
And you got two of the best investors that I know, Lacy and Lola. Phenomenal in what they do in this market. If you can't reach me, I promise you that you do catch me and you're looking for properties, turnkey properties, I'm sending straight to them. So give us a call, y'all. Call any one of us. We're going to make that happen for you.
Excellent. Well, Ernest, thank you so much for reaching out and getting back to us today. And we look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Take care, everybody.
All right, yeah.
So long.
All righty. So, we are about to conclude this episode of the show, Malcolm. Let me say, you guys have gotten a lot of information, a lot of food for thought. You got events for tonight that you could go to. You got events for this weekend to learn about your history. You've got Malcolm's event coming on at a price that if you see the prize, you can handle that. You know, you can.
Can I give them the website too?
Yes, please do.
Okay, the website for the ProBiz event is ProBiz, ProBiz Network, network.org, ProBizNetwork.org, and we'd love to have you.
Excellent. So, when you want to see this show again, you want to share this show with somebody. Right now, we're on the WBGR Wellness Network. You can also find us on our Facebook page, Real Estate Talk with Lisa, our YouTube channel, Real Estate Talk with Lisa. You may have noted, if you've been watching the show for a while, that we also do a short segment after the show called Real Estate with Lisa Take 10. It's a 10-minute segment, and you'll see that also on the Roku and Fire Stick platforms if you are on those systems. And the way you'll see those, we're on rotated content there, is if you have those systems, just put WBGR in your search box and you'll be able to pull us up. So, next week we got a great home inspector for you, Jason Munson, and he's going to bring it. And if you've got questions that you always want to ask the home inspector, make sure you get those questions to me so I can get them to him. So we'll be ready to answer them for you. And remember, I'll see you at the show.